Hi friends, E.C. Maltby here, Senior Pastor of the True Holiness Saints Center in the beautiful city of Conway, Arkansas. And you know what time it is. It is Wednesday Word time. So what is our Wednesday Word for tonight? Our Wednesday Word is opportunity. So what is an opportunity, Pastor Maltby? When we talk about opportunities, we're talking about the appropriate time to act. An opportunity, the appropriate time to act. We're talking about when the circumstances are favorable for you to move forward with someone or something. So tonight, here's what I want to do. I want to give you 3 things you need to know before you act. 3 things you need to know before you accept an opportunity in your life. The first thing you need to know before you act is simply this. You've got to know when to say no. Now that's good teaching. Before you accept an opportunity, know when to say no. You've got to know when to decline. You've got to know when it's not a good time to act. So when should you say no, Pastor Maltby, to an opportunity that presents itself? And there's certainly a lot of times that you should say no, but I'm just going to elevate 2 to you tonight for time's sake. The first time you should always say no to an opportunity is when you have already reached your capacity. When you have already reached your capacity or your limit. Those that have attended True Holiness for some time have heard me say over and over again down through the years that we are all limited resources. Meaning we can't be everything to everybody all the time. And because we're a limited resource, more specifically, because we have a limited amount of time, because we have a limited amount of energy, because we have a limited amount of money, and even a limited amount of energy, we've got to be careful to who, when, and how we say yes to opportunities. You are a limited resource. You only have a certain amount of energy. You only have a certain amount of money. You've got to be careful to when, to how, and to who you give those resources to. Always remember this. Never allow people's demands, their personal preferences, even their own needs to cause you to burn out. Never allow the demands of someone else to cause you to move into burnout. You've got to know your capacity. You've got to know your limit. You've got to know when you're full and you don't have any more room on your plate. When an opportunity comes, you've got to ask yourself, do I have the capacity? Do I have the energy? Do I have the time? Do I have the money? Do I have the influence to put something else on my plate? But not only is it about your capacity, but secondly, you always say no to an opportunity when you're being used or manipulated by others. Yeah. Whenever somebody's trying to use you or to manipulate you, you always say no. Now, I'm not going to call any names tonight, but all of us know people who live in a perpetual state of crisis. Every time you talk to them, they got a new problem, a new dilemma, a new emergency, and they always need you to bail them out. You know the people I'm talking about, the people that you don't hear from until they need something from you. And here's the truth of the matter. When you're taking your time, your energy, your money, your influence to always bail them out, if you're not careful, you will become an enabler in their life, giving them the opportunity to never change. Matter of fact, let me digress and say this to you. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you have to let people walk all over you. Just because you're a Christian doesn't mean you have to let people take advantage of you. When do we say no to an opportunity? when our capacity is already reached our limit or close to our limit. And secondly, when we become enablers to other people's dysfunctional or toxic behavior. When an opportunity comes your way and time to act or to move forward, you've got to know when to say no. But then secondly, when an opportunity comes your way, and in fact, let me go back to 1 Corinthians 10 and 23. 1 Corinthians 10 and 23, the Bible says, I've got the right to do anything you say, but not everything is beneficial. I have the right to do anything, but not everything is constructive. When it comes to you deciding if I should move on an opportunity or not, ask yourself two pivotal questions. Number one, do I have the capacity to put something else on my plate? And number two, if I do this, will it enable someone to continue with bad, dysfunctional behavior? So number one, again, you've got to know when to say no. But secondly, when it comes to opportunities, you've got to know the cost. Yeah, you need to know the cost. How much will this opportunity cost me? Please understand, ma'ams and sirs, every opportunity comes with a price tag. And you need to know what that price tag is. What I'm really saying is every opportunity comes with pros and cons. Every opportunity comes, yes, with positives, but also negatives. And before you decide that you're going to accept an opportunity, you need to know the cons. You need to know the negatives. You need to know how much time, energy, influence it's going to cost you. So when I talk about knowing the cost, let me just mention two to you, and then I'll move on. But first and foremost, before you take on an opportunity, know how much finances or how much money is going to cost you to take on this person or this project. In other words, if I take on this project, if I take on this new opportunity, no matter how wonderful it looks, will it cause me to live above my means? If I take on this opportunity, if I take on this person, if I take on this project, will it put an unnecessary strain on my present budget? If I take on this person or this project or this opportunity, will anything go lacking in my life because of this new financial commitment? Every opportunity comes with a price tag, and oftentimes the price tag is financial. Will it cause me to live above my means? Now, an easy example is this: a new home. Before you take the opportunity to buy this dream home, you've got to ask yourself, if I purchase this, will I be living above my means? So when we think about material things, we can understand money. But it's not always material things. It could be relationships. For instance, if you are a single person and you finally find the right person that you want to settle down with, the right person that you want to get married to, when is the right time to get married? When you can afford it. You need to ask yourself the question, hear me here. Not only is this the right person, not only do I love this person, not only do I want to spend the rest of my life with them, but can I afford being married to them? Can I afford the difference in budgets when we get together? You've got to think about the financial cost of every opportunity given you. But not only a financial cost, but you need to think about the cost of time. Yeah, the cost of time. You've got to ask yourself when confronted or afforded every opportunity, you've got to ask yourself this pivotal question: do I have the adequate amount of extra time to do this new opportunity, to do this new venture, to get connected with this project? Do I have the time? Or do I need to remove something off of my plate before I take on this responsibility? When an opportunity comes, if you don't have enough time, what are you going to take off if you really want to do this off of your plate? You need to ask yourself the question about time. If I take on this new responsibility, will it distract me from the things that are most important? Will it distract me from my time with God? Will it distract me with my time with my family? Will it distract me from other goals and worthwhile causes that I already have on my plate? When it comes to opportunities, the time to act, you've got to know when to say no, but you also got to know the cost. I absolutely love the prayer of Moses in Psalms 90 and 12. He prays to God. He says, teach us to number our days, that we may gain a heart of wisdom. Moses says, teach us time management, because time is our most important commodity. You can always get more money. You can always get another friend. But once you waste your time, once you lose your time, you will never get it back again. When it comes to opportunities, deciding, is it the appropriate time to act? You've got to know three very important things. Number one, you've got to know when to say no, because your capacity is at its limit. You've got to know when to say no, because people are using and manipulating you. But you've got to know the cost. What is the financial impact of me saying yes? And how much time will it take? And I'm about to get out of here, but let me give you a third point. Third thing you need to know. You need to know how to prepare in advance. And this is where a lot of us miss it. We don't prepare for opportunities beforehand. Here's my social media quote for tonight. Full disclosure, these are not my original thoughts, but I read this quote and I loved it so much I thought I would share it with you tonight. Social media quote is simply this: opportunity doesn't make appointments. You have to be ready when they arrive. Opportunities never make appointments with you. You simply have to be ready when they arrive. What do you mean, Pastor Maltbill? You need to start preparing financially now. So when the right opportunity comes for you to purchase something or for you to invest in something, you will be prepared to do so. Because you've got to understand that opportunities have expiration dates, and you've got to be prepared when they come. You need to prepare yourself to be the right person now while you're single. Don't wait till you get the right person to start preparing yourself. While you're single, don't be twiddling your thumbs. Don't sit around bitter, but you ought to be preparing yourself physically. You ought to be preparing yourself both mentally and emotionally. You ought to be preparing yourself spiritually to be the right person when Mr. Right or Mrs. Right comes your way. A lot of times we have young ladies praying to God, Lord, send me a husband. And I believe the Lord really wants to say to somebody tonight, why would I send you a husband at this age and stage in your life? You can't submit to me and I'm perfect. How are you going to submit to an imperfect man? Maybe that's a guy out there saying, Lord, send me the right wife. How is he going to give you the right wife? You're not loving him correctly and he's perfect. How are you going to love correctly an imperfect mate? You need to start preparing yourself while you're single. So when the opportune time comes for you to get a significant other, to get engaged, to get married, you will be the right one. It's not just about meeting the right one. You have to be the right one. So you ought to prepare yourself financially so you can be ready to buy or invest. You got to prepare yourself for the right person physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, spiritually. But here's another one. Many of you are looking for better opportunities in your career. Well, while you're waiting on the opportunity, you ought to be spending time increasing your skill level. You ought to be spending time making yourself more marketable now. So when the promotion or the new job becomes available, you can step right in. You don't have to get ready when you stay ready. So you got to prepare yourself in all of these areas. But here's the last one when it comes to preparing yourself in advance. You have to have enough faith to seize the moment when it presents itself. And this is where most of us fall by the wayside. You've got to have enough faith to seize the moment, to seize the opportunity when it becomes available. Look at this principle we learn from the life of Jesus. In Matthew chapter 9, some people needed a healing. In Matthew chapter 9, 28-29, here's what it says. When he had gone outdoors, the blind men came to him, him being Jesus, and they asked him, and he asked them, do you believe that I'm able to do this? Verse 29. Then he touched them and said, according to your faith, let it be done unto you. According to your faith, according to your belief system, let it be done unto you. In other words, what Jesus was really saying was, when it comes to life, when it comes to goal setting, when it comes to seizing the moment, let the size of your God determine the size of your goals. Little God, little goals. Big God, big goals. I can remember some 29 years ago, I was a college student at the University of Central Arkansas, 21 years old, had just gotten married to my high school sweetheart, First Lady Natasha Maltby. We were both there in college pursuing our degree. And I felt the leading of the Lord to plant a church called True Holiness. And while I was planting the church, the rumor mills were going all around. And the critics were being critical. And folks were whispering, who does he think he is? But when I look back in hindsight, they were asking the wrong question. It wasn't about who I thought I was. It's who did I believe God was. I never founded the church thinking I was good enough to pastor, thinking I was smart enough to grow a congregation. But I knew God said it, and I believed God so much that if he said it, that settled it, and he would take it to fruition. You've got to have the faith to seize the moment when it comes. According to your faith, dear hearts, be it unto you. Our Wednesday word tonight is opportunity. When is the appropriate time to act? Before you act, you need to know when to say no. You need to know the cost. And you need to know for sure that you ought to be prepared in advance. Until we speak again, my friends, be blessed.